Did you ever wonder how Malawi got its name? This captivating query takes us back in time to the pre-colonial era of Malawi, a time that laid the groundwork for what the country is today. The land that is now Malawi was once home to a mosaic of indigenous tribes, each with its own unique cultural practices and ways of life. Among these tribes were the Maravi, a Bantu-speaking tribe that migrated to this region in the 16th century. The word Malawi is said to be derived from Maravi, which translates to flaming waters or sunrise, a fitting name for a land blessed with the shimmering Lake Malawi and striking sunrises. Lake Malawi, often referred to as the Calendar Lake due to its vast size, was a significant part of life for these early inhabitants. Its crystal-clear waters teemed with a bounty of fish, providing a valuable source of food. The lake, with its tranquil beauty, was also pivotal in their spiritual beliefs and rituals, connecting them to their ancestors and the divine. These tribes lived in harmony with the land, their lives intertwined with the rhythm of nature. They cultivated the earth, planting crops like millet and sorghum, and raised livestock. Their way of life was simple yet sustainable, guided by a deep respect for the environment. Throughout this era, the tribes developed distinct cultural practices that still echo in Malawi's traditions today. From vibrant dances that tell tales of their history and values, to intricate crafts that showcase their skills and creativity, these cultural elements are the threads that weave the rich tapestry of Malawi's heritage. As the centuries unfolded, these tribes evolved, intermingled, and established kingdoms, each contributing to the formation of the cultural and social landscape of the region. This era, untouched by colonial influences, set the stage for a society that was deeply connected to its roots, its land, and its people. Thus, the beautiful land we now know as Malawi began to take shape. A country of diverse cultures, breathtaking landscapes, and a history that continues to shape its present and future. But what happened when the Europeans arrived? In the 16th century, the Portuguese were the first Europeans to set foot in what is now known as Malawi. They were drawn by tales of a great African lake and the lucrative ivory trade. However, they did not establish permanent settlements, and their influence was relatively limited. Fast forward to the late 19th century, the British arrived, lured by the same great lake, now known as Lake Malawi, and the potential for trade and Christian missionary work. Unlike the Portuguese, the British set about transforming the area into a colonial outpost, establishing the British Central Africa Protectorate in 1889, later renamed Nyasaland in 1907. The impact of British colonial rule on the native tribes was profound. The British introduced a cash economy, which disrupted traditional systems of trade and barter. They imposed taxes, forcing many Malawians into wage labor on European-owned plantations or in the booming industries of South Africa. They also brought with them Christianity, which challenged and, in some cases, supplanted traditional beliefs and practices. The British also introduced new crops such as tea and tobacco, which remain key exports for Malawi today. They established schools and health facilities, albeit primarily for the European settlers. The colonial administration imposed a system of indirect rule, using appointed African chiefs to enforce British policies. However, colonial rule was not without resistance. Revolts such as the Chilembwe Uprising in 1915 highlighted the growing discontent among the native population. These uprisings were brutally suppressed, but they sowed the seeds of nationalism, a crucial factor that would later drive the struggle for independence. The colonial era left an indelible mark on Malawi, setting the stage for its struggle for independence. The legacy of colonial rule, both its negative impacts and its more constructive contributions, continues to shape Malawi's social, economic, and political landscape today. But the story doesn't end there. As we'll see in the next scene, the struggle for independence was a pivotal chapter in Malawi's history. How did Malawi wrestle control from the British? This question sets the stage for a pivotal period in Malawi's history. The struggle for independence was a period of intense resistance, marked by the rise of a key figure, Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda. In the mid-20th century, Malawi was under the grip of British colonial rule, and the desire for freedom was intense. The man who would become the beacon of this desire was Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda, a foreign-educated Malawian who returned home, with a vision to liberate his people. Banda and his Malawi Congress Party became instrumental in the fight for independence. Their efforts led to numerous protests and negotiations, putting immense pressure on the British. The struggle was intense, but the determination was stronger. Finally, in 1964, the tides of history turned. Malawi was declared independent, breaking free from the chains of colonial rule. With independence, Malawi embarked on a new journey with Dr. Banda at the helm. What happened after Malawi gained independence? This is where the story of post-independence Malawi begins. Following independence in 1964, Malawi found itself under the autocratic rule of Dr. Hastings Kamuzu Banda. His reign was marked by an iron fist and a strong focus on centralization of power. Dr. Banda, a foreign-educated physician, declared himself president for life in 1971, further consolidating his power. He established a single-party state under his Malawi Congress Party and suppressed opposition ruthlessly. Human rights violations were rampant, with dissenters often facing detention, torture, or worse. Economically, Malawi faced significant challenges. While Dr. Banda did manage to maintain stability and even achieve modest economic growth, it was largely at the expense of the country's poor. The majority of Malawians remained impoverished, with wealth concentrated in the hands of a select few. As the years rolled by, the winds of change began to blow. The end of the Cold War in the early 90s brought with it a global wave of democratization. International pressure mounted on Dr. Banda's regime to reform. In 1992, Catholic bishops in Malawi issued a pastoral letter criticizing the government, sparking widespread protests and civil unrest. This led to a referendum in 1993, where Malawians voted overwhelmingly in favor of a multi-party democracy. The following year, in 1994, Malawi held its first free and fair elections in over 30 years. Dr. Banda was defeated, and Bakili Muluzi became the country's first democratically elected president. The transition wasn't smooth, however. The new government grappled with deep-seated corruption, economic instability, and a lack of basic infrastructure. Yet, despite these obstacles, Malawi began its journey towards democratization, striving to uphold the principles of human rights, equality, and justice. Despite the challenges, Malawi began to find its footing as a democratic nation. The post-independence era was a tumultuous journey, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter in Malawi's history, one that continues to unfold today. So, where does Malawi stand today? A land of vibrant hues and harmonious diversity, modern-day Malawi is a melting pot of rich cultures and traditions. With over a dozen ethnic groups such as the Chiwa, Yao, and Tumbuka living in harmony, the country is a testament to unity in diversity. This cultural richness is celebrated and preserved in traditional ceremonies, music, and dance, lending a unique rhythm to the Malawian life. The political landscape of Malawi, much like its topography, is diverse and dynamic. The country has made significant strides towards democracy since gaining independence, and today it stands as a beacon of peaceful political transition in Africa. However, the journey isn't without its bumps. The country grapples with issues of corruption and governance. But the resilience of the Malawian people shines through as they continue to strive for transparency and accountability. In the sphere of economic development, Malawi has shown promising growth. Agriculture remains the backbone of its economy, with maize, rice, and cassava being the staple crops. However, the country is gradually diversifying, with sectors like tourism and information technology gaining momentum. The majestic Lake Malawi, the verdant national parks, and the towering Mount Mulanje are drawing in travelers from across the globe, bolstering the economy and encouraging sustainable development. Yet, Malawi faces its share of challenges. Access to healthcare services, education, and poverty alleviation are areas that need attention. But the spirit of the Malawian people remains undeterred. International organizations and NGOs are stepping in, working hand in hand with the locals to address these issues and improve livelihoods. Despite the hurdles, the resilience of the Malawian people is commendable. They bear the hope for a brighter future, a future where their beautiful land of the lake continues to prosper and thrive. Their unwavering spirit is what drives the nation forward, shaping the narrative of modern-day Malawi. And so, the story of Malawi continues, a story of resilience, hope, and a people's unwavering spirit. So, what have we learned about Malawi? We've journeyed through time, from the pre-colonial era, a period rich in traditions, to the colonial era that brought significant changes to the nation's landscape. We've walked through the struggle for independence, a testament to the courage and determination of the Malawian people. We've witnessed the post-independence era, filled with triumphs and trials that have shaped the nation's identity. And we've arrived at modern-day Malawi, a vibrant tapestry of cultures, wildlife, and natural beauty. From the crystal-clear waters of Lake Malawi to the towering heights of Mount Mulanje, from the lively rhythms of traditional music to the bustling artisan communities, Malawi is a country teeming with life. Its journey, marked by resilience and a rich cultural heritage, paints a picture of a nation that's faced its fair share of challenges, yet continues to rise. From a land rich in culture and history, Malawi continues to write its own story, a testament to the resilience and spirit of its people.